Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining me. My name is Greg Stafford, and these are Day Texts, where we meet every weekday morning at 5 a.m. to consider a portion of the biblical record or other related texts and histories. We did a show earlier this morning, but the stream got interrupted, so I'm going to go ahead and do the show again. And today's show is based on Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 through 3, and verse 6. And the reason I grouped them that way is because those verses all relate to a similar subject. Whereas if I include other texts in between portions, they involve other subjects that won't enable us to concentrate as much on one or two topics. So what I try to do is group these texts together in that way so that we can get a concentrated lesson from related texts, basically involving the same subject or one or two subjects. I try to keep it limited so that we can make as clear of an application as possible without having too many topics come up as part of the discussion. So that's what I try to do when I'm dealing with these day text groupings. And today's grouping, Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 through 3 and verse 6, involves how we should get along with each other, cultivate love amongst each other, and really look to Jah as the only one we should be afraid of. So let me go ahead and read those texts. We'll make another brief application. I'll have some updates about a new playlist I put up, as well as tomorrow's CWJah Talk show. All right, I'm going to read starting in Hebrews chapter 13 with verses 1 through 3, and then I'm going to jump to verse 6. Verse 1. Brotherly love must continue. You must not forget hospitality, for through it some people, though they were not aware of it, received angels as guests. Remember those who are in prison, as if you had been jointly imprisoned, as well as those who are being badly treated, because you also exist in a physical body, or one subject to pain and suffering. Okay, jump down to verse 6. Therefore, we are to be courageous when we say, Lord Jaho is my faithful aid. I will not be afraid. What will a human be able to do to me? He's quoting Psalm 118 or 117, verse 6, depending on which version you're using. And it reminds us of what Jesus said in Matthew 10, where we should not be fearful of those who kill the body, but we should be afraid of those who kill the soul. Now, there are a lot of people around today, especially non-Christians, people who practice magic and sorcery. They think they can kill your soul through various death rituals and different things. They can't do anything. It's an illusion in their mind. They cannot kill anyone's soul except their own, in that they are acting in ways that Jah is going to punish them. So it's a delusion. These people are misleading themselves because they want to believe something they have no evidence is true. Right? There's no evidence whatsoever that any number of magic spells or rituals in any way affects a person's soul or life after death. That's the height of arrogance. Those people are going to be judged among the worst because they are taking for themselves a judgment or belief that only rightly belongs to Jah concerning the soul. So I would stay as far away as possible from anyone who thinks they can in any way affect your life after death. Those are the people whom Jah is watching the most closely, so that their end is exactly the way he wants it to be, not the way they want it to be. So do not be afraid of them. You have nothing to fear, except whatever pain or suffering we would already likely have to go through in this life because of being physical creatures. And so I have Paw D behind my monitor. Never know what could happen there. So we want to be sure that we focus on Jah. He gave us our life, not these people. They're there to take your life. They're there to take whatever they can before their life is taken. And it is. They're next. And they're not taking anything with them. Not their clothes. They may be buried in whatever they want. It's just going to stay in that coffin. It's going to stay in that grave. And so are they, unless Jah says they come out again. So they're putting all their faith in the worst possible things themselves. We put our faith in Jah. He's the source of life. He's the one who gave us life. He's the one judging us all right now. So concentrate on Him. Do not lose your focus. There are a lot of things in the world today that try to distract us, to try to hypnotize us, really. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to see that the TV, the movies, the music, and the people who act in ways that emulate those things aren't doing anything good. It's not good to abuse your body. It's not good to blaspheme God. It's not good to run around and lie to everybody, even your own children, just so you can pretend you're a better person than you really are. That's what a lot of people do. Instead of just being open and honest with the things they've done or do, we're all sinners, so we're no better than the other. But they run around, the people I'm talking about, people who deny the fact that they are accountable to anyone, including Jah. They run around and act like they can do things with impunity or without punishment. That's never happened. There's no example, no evidence whatsoever that that has ever taken place. And yet, we have to endure those who simply do not recognize the evidence that we have to show us what has happened and so what's likely also going to happen in the future. So keep in mind these texts, because remember, it's not about these other people. I'm talking about people who do not do Jah's will or who try to stop you, and so you have to not be afraid and call to Jah. There's more beings involved. Look at verse 2. It says, through hospitality some entertained angels. So you never know who you're dealing with. They never know who they're dealing with, but they think they do. I'm talking about criminals and others who blaspheme Jah and who openly do things to hurt other people. Those are the ones you want to stay as far away from as possible. You cut them right out of your life unless they're willing to try to work with you, or you have to work with them at a job or somewhere else. Okay, we don't want to cut people off forever, but I'm talking about the ones who are trying to stop you. The ones who are interfering, even persecuting you because you believe in Jah. Did you hear Dada? Oh, there he is over there. So, this is a different category of persons. They're really messed up. They've totally lost their way to Jah, and because they refuse to serve Him, they don't want you to serve Him because you're reminding them of what they're supposed to be doing. And you can't deal with people like that. They're too jealous, too insecure. The insecurity level of people today is out of sight. I mean, people today, if they think in any way they're not being built up as better than you or somebody else, they lose it. They just don't have a strong, fortified sense of their character or person. So they need constant reinforcement. I don't need any of that. All I need is Jah. And if people want to join me in praising Jah, great. I'm here. Let's go. But I'm not going to go committing crime and doing all kinds of things with people who can't even keep their own word on what they tell you they're going to do. But like I said, these aren't the kind of people we should be relying on ultimately. Just look at what they do. Again, I'm talking about people who openly persecute Christians, who blaspheme Jah. I'm not talking about just your average everyday person who makes mistakes or who does things wrong like we all do. I'm talking about the ones who openly and actively try to damage you. They're the worst, and they're going to get the worst punishment. So stay as far away from them as possible. Remember what Jesus said, and we're talking about Jesus now, and I quoted him in Matthew 10 about, do not be fearful of those who kill the body but cannot destroy the soul, but be afraid of Jah, who can kill your body and your soul. Jesus also said that in that same account, he said that a man's enemies will be people of his own household, and that he came to cause division for that reason, because people have to make a choice. And Jesus also said that if a person stumbles, one of these little ones, the children of Jah, you might as well tie a gigantic millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the ocean. Because no matter what pain or suffering that would involve, it's nothing compared to what you're going to get if you don't stop abusing children and Jah's little ones when your day of judgment gets here. Remember, that was Jesus who said that. He knows the Father. He does exactly what the Father says. And if he tells you you would be better off throwing yourself into the ocean with a giant stone around your neck than hurting one of these little ones, stay as far away as possible from people who abuse children. Stay as far away as possible from people who deceive young ones from following Jah or Jesus. The punishment coming to them is beyond what they can bear, but they deserve it because they're doing things to other people when they should be helping them or stay out of their lives. So when you see child abuse today, I mean, it's all over the place. Basically, to be a part of Hollywood, you have to be a willing child abuse participant. I don't see how you couldn't, right? Do you hear anyone in Hollywood today openly resisting child abuse? No. They're resisting women who have made decisions to sleep with men that they now regret, and so they're acting like they were abused. Right? Even Harvey Weinstein, who was obviously not a moral person, there's no account of him forcing or raping a person without them letting him do it. I follow that because I find it fascinating that Hollywood's such a garbage dump that they have people like that. And of course, all these awards shows, they're all fake. It just depends on how many times you sleep with the producers and others and whether or not you're going to keep giving them what they want. And so that's why this whole Harvey Weinstein thing blew up. But my point is, these women did what they wanted. They didn't have to do that. They could have gone and gotten another job and said, F you, Harvey, I'm out of here. Or whatever. In that context, that might be appropriate. So when people in Hollywood today or elsewhere abuse children, damage other people, they're going to get it. They're mistreating other people. This ties in with today's text because we're to look to Jah, but children can't. They can, but they're more subject to abuse by adults, so we have to look out for them. And children today are often abused by even their own family members who lie to them, tell them things that are not true, and deceive their own offspring instead of just being honest and open with them, and so that you can grow and build from there. So these kinds of people are disgusting. Just stay away from them. Even Harvey, of course. I wasn't defending Harvey. But my point is, these disgusting women who proclaim themselves as victims are the very ones who put themselves in the position and did what they did with Harvey just so they could be in a movie about a fake world where they are a fake character doing things that are not real. That's all movies and entertainment are today, my friends. They're just non-real forms of living when we should be spending our time living, not acting like we're living and abusing children. Hollywood's just a garbage dump, and it is producing poison at a rate I've not seen in a long time. So I'm very concerned about Hollywood, everyone connected with it, and all these other individuals who are promoting Luciferianism, Illuminatiism, and everything that really is about destruction of the family and the individual. So be aware of all these things. Do not be afraid. What can a human do to you? Kill you. That's it. You're going to die anyway. Big deal, right? Of course, no one wants to die, but we're going to die anyway. So if you're going to die anyway, die faithful to Jah. Die being hospitable to your guests. They could be angels. But remember, the guests that these people, the blasphemers and the people who oppose you, the guests they get could be angels too. How do you think they treat them? They're going to get it, and we're going to get it too if we're not careful. So continue to remember these texts. brotherly love must continue. Remember those who are in prison. Do not forget hospitality, and be courageous and say, Jaho is my faithful aid. Remember, courage is doing what you know is right, no matter how difficult it is. So keep those thoughts in mind. Use them to motivate yourself to love and fine works, and you will find Jah's blessing in your life. So I thank you all for joining me again for the redo of today's text. We had some streaming issues earlier, so I wanted to get it done the right way. And then we'll be back Monday. We're getting close to finishing the book of Hebrews. But tomorrow, Saturday, we have CWJah Talk 11, which will be Ancient Aliens and Christians Part 2. I'm looking forward to that. And as you can all see, I have a new playlist up, Accuracy in the Biblical Records. So I put up a clip from a prior show on the account in involving Jericho, the fall of the city of Jericho and Joshua. And I'm going to do similar clips from other shows and then new shows to build up that playlist so that we can start to document all of the different historical accuracies in the Bible that will help people appreciate the records that we accept. So that's it for today. I thank you all again for joining me. I enjoy these day texts because it gets me going in the right way, helps my mind activate, and then I can reflect on the things that have been written down for us. So I thank you for being a part of that, and I look forward to seeing you again on Monday, as I mentioned, and then tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. for CWJah Talk number 12, Ancient Aliens and Christians, Part 2.